we have Johnson Joseph in the waiting room. He's the CEO of Peak Fintech Group. We've had several people ask us about this one in the last couple of days. Ticker PKKFF. Let's get him on here now. Johnson Joseph, welcome to the Power Hour. Uh-oh, can you hear us? Johnson.
Hey.
All right, we got you. Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you guys.
Okay, that's okay. You hear us now. Good afternoon. How are we doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. All right. Tell us about this company. I'm really not quite sure why we've gotten so many questions about you all in the past week, but we have. Just tell us about the business, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, sure. Peak Fintech Group, what we do is we run a platform in China primarily right now where we bring together small businesses, small micro businesses who are looking for funding primarily with lending with financial institutions willing to lend to them. So the way the concept works is very simple. So if you're a small business owner, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you give us access to your data. We basically read information from the business's accounting software system. We pull tax bureau data on them. We have information that allows to read their bank statements. And we take all of this information and we help qualify them for loans for credit, whether they need to finance receivables, they need to replenish their inventory, they want to get paid sooner, whatever the case may be. So essentially what we do is we are a marketplace for commercial loans between small, medium-sized businesses and lending financial institutions. Now, what's interesting about the company is that we launched in China in 2018. We generated about 1.6. These are all Canadian dollars, by the way. We're based in Canada. We're headquartered in Montreal, even though all of our operations are in China right now. So we generated $1.6 million in revenue in 2018. That was the first year. The second year, we scaled that up to 11.7 million. That was 2019. 2020, we just filed, well, a few months ago, we filed our fourth quarter results. We generated $42 million in revenue. And for 2021, we're forecasting over 100 million. 2022, it should scale up to 300 million. And 2023, we're looking at 600 million. So the company is going very, very fast. And we have intentions on coming to North America before the end of this year.
Okay, so Johnson, I mean, your operations in China, I gotta ask, the elephant in the room here. Like, are you concerned at all about the I don't know how you want to phrase it, the control that the Chinese government seems to be asserting over its capital markets right now and over many of its businesses that trade publicly here in the U.S.?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We get that all the time, especially lately. First thing to point out is that we are not a Chinese company, right? So we are not a Chinese company. So our main regulator is not the Chinese securities regulator, right? So we are based in Canada. The main regulator for our company is the Quebec regulator. That's the province that we're based in. So that's the number one thing. The second thing is what's happening in China right now is there are a couple of things. So the Chinese government is looking to protect the personal and private information of its citizens. So a lot of the companies that have had issues, let's call it lately, are companies that deal with private individuals. They collect personal private information, and the government is concerned about that. We are strictly a B2B platform. We do not deal with consumers at all. We do not collect personal information on our clients. We're essentially interested in how is the business doing. So we facilitate transactions between lending financial institutions and small businesses. That's it. So the government is fully aware, by the way, of our operations in China. In fact, one of the biggest partnerships that we recently signed was with a subsidiary of China UnionPay called Rongbang Technologies. And China UnionPay is a state-owned entity. They control the flow of funds throughout China. They are the largest card payment processing company in all of the world, larger than Visa and MasterCard. And we basically, just this morning, we announced that we had taken a small participation in the private company Rongbang Technologies. So in a way, right now we are kind of like partners with China UnionPay, which is a state-owned entity. So that just gives you an idea that the government in China is not after us. They're not looking to disturb our operations. Quite the contrary.
But if the government can say, hey, we all of a sudden are deciding that we're concerned about the data being gathered about our citizens, couldn't they also just as easily say, we are now concerned about the data being gathered about our businesses?
Again, they're fully aware of what we're doing. Our servers are in China. We understand that the information in China, the data that we're collecting, does not leave China, right? So it remains in our servers there. It's protected by encryption. The government has looked into our systems on several occasions. And again, what we're doing is we are facilitating business for small and micro businesses. They are the backbone of the Chinese economy. They're responsible for 70 or 75% of the jobs throughout the country. And ever since we started operating in there, ever since we started operating our platform, the government has noticed in the cities where we operate, they've noticed an improvement in the operations of small businesses. So again, we have partnerships with the city of Jiangyin. We work with them very closely with them. So we're contributing to the development of the economy in China. So there is no incentive for the government to prevent us from helping their small businesses in China.
And then Mr. Joseph, real quick, I have a very special guest to bring on with us. This is one of the biggest fans of the company. He actually pitched this stock on this very show a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago at this point. But without further ado, let me bring on Young Investor.
Young Investor! What's going on, Young Investor? How we doing?
All right. Hey, I'm a fan. Nice to meet you, Young Investor.
You've watched my channel?
I'm sorry?
Wait, have you watched my channel before?
No, I've seen somebody sent me links to to coverages that you've done before, and yeah, listen, it's an honor.
No, it's an honor to speak to you. So, could you firstly tell us today about today's press release? Because today you announced that you're investing in Rongbang, which is a subsidiary of UnionPay, for less than 1% of the company, but for $500,000 Canadian. You said this shouldn't be viewed as kind of a normal investment. So tell us about the strategic opportunities of this, how it strengthens your ties with UnionPay, and your trials of this going forward.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, this was first of all, investing in UnionPay. Not everybody can decide. Okay, you know what? I'm going to invest in Rongbang. First of all, it was an invitation, so it was a huge honor, right? So for UnionPay to recognize the impact that we were having with just about a month's worth of operations using their network is a tremendous honor. So they invited us to make this investment, but the investment is more symbolic than anything else, right? So to be associated with UnionPay, again, this is the largest card payment company in all of the world. And for them to recognize what we're doing, how we're helping businesses, and to invite us to make this investment, obviously, it's going to open doors for us. It brings a lot of credibility to the company. Now, when we go see clients, partners, hey, you know what? We're somehow associated with UnionPay. It is huge for us. The second thing is it gives us a seat at the table, right? So you have UnionPay, but you have other large state-owned companies that are investors in Rongbang Technology. So that gives us a seat at the table. So we're now aware of interesting projects that could be happening, whether it's in the clean tech sector or any other sector. So it was a tremendous investment for us.
Yeah. So another thing worth noting, which I'd like to ask you about, is you recently, this really, when I saw this on there, it really made me pumped. So tell us about the guidance you recently issued. So I'm super excited about this guidance. So for this year, you're projecting 104 million. Obviously, you can't comment on whether it's, you expect more than that. But, historically, Peak's guidance has been, pretty conservative, for the last few years. So tell us about the guidance recently. So you're projecting 104 million revenue in 2021. But I want to know more about your long-term outlook for the company in 2023. And by the way, this is all Canadian for anyone watching. Because in 2023, you said you expect 624 million Canadian with 102 million net profit, net income. So, tell us about how you get there. You're getting the kind of point where Upstart projected to have very similar net income for you in that year. But you're below Upstart, so in terms of revenue in that year. So tell us more about how you aim to reach that, your future going forward, as long as, is that also included with foreign expansion in that guidance you created?
That's an excellent question. First and foremost, the guidance that we put out was strictly for China. And as I mentioned earlier, we have intentions of coming to North America. So that the numbers for North America and other parts of the world, also eventually UK, South America, that is not included in there. So that's strictly China, number one. The second thing is, because of what we have seen from our operations so far in China, most of our business is coming from repeat business. So you have these large distributors. I don't know if you're familiar, young investor, with COFCO. COFCO is China Oil and Foodstuffs Corporation. They are the largest, if I'm not mistaken, the largest food processing company in all of Asia. And a lot of our clients deal with them. So just think about this for a second, right? So all of the goods, food stuff that is consumed in China, whether it's rice, packaged goods, or whatever, noodles, all that stuff, most of it is produced by COFCO, right? So we have a lot of clients who buy regularly from COFCO. So they have cash flow issues that we're helping them with. So a lot of our business comes from there. So there are a lot of companies also that deal with JD.com, Alibaba, these large e-commerce portals. They buy and sell products all the time from large manufacturers. So we talk to these clients and we get these are companies that, they have a history, right? So we're not coming out, okay, well, it's a new company, whatever, we're pulling numbers out of the air. No, we talk to our clients. We know what they expect for the next year, 2-3 years. And then our forecasts are based on those numbers primarily.
Okay, so I kind of have one last kind of major question I would like to know from you. So I was recently speaking on my channel to Sheldon Inwentash, who you know very well. So we spoke about Peak for a good section of our interview. And one of the things we kept talking about was foreign expansion for Peak. So you already know you're going to expanding to North America, hopefully by the end of this year.
Correct.
Now Peak's are very kind of, in one sense, simple to replicate across the globe. It's not something you need to figure out a brand new kind of plan brand new everything as soon as you go to a new country. You only need to get regulatory approval and connections with the banks in that country to be able to facilitate lending on your app. So here's about foreign expansion for you, and do you really see this as being something you're planning to expand eventually across the world into Canada, North America, eventually Europe? And could this really be a global business, which in a few years, maybe like 5-10 years down the road, it's a global business, pulling in revenues from all different parts of the world in Europe and North America and China, and Asia?
Absolutely, young investor. That's a great question also. And yes, that is part of our plan. So what we're doing is we're building, right now it started in China, but it's an ecosystem, right? So it's a business ecosystem. We started off as a lending hub, facilitating lending transactions between financial institutions and small businesses. But we're also talking to these small businesses, right? So they need other things. They need logistics, they need this, they need that. And they'd like to be connected, right? Like they're looking for partners, they're looking for suppliers, they're looking for this. So networking in the future is going to be a very, very important aspect of our ecosystem. So right now, we're already setting up these businesses to network amongst themselves in China. But believe it or not, there is we have a small network already being built in Canada, and the Canadian business is already asking about, well, can we get in touch with some of the business in China? We'd like to find a supplier. We'd like to export some of our goods, that kind of stuff. So yes, our plan in the future is to create this global ecosystem of businesses where businesses are going to be able to get funding, and they're going to be able to get market research report. They're going to be able to network amongst each other.
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry, young investor. I got to hop in here real quick. We can ask one more question, but I'm just curious, young investor, how did you find this company initially, and what stuck out to you about it?
Yeah, so originally I found this company for one of the many Discord servers, and after that one of the bigger Discord servers, which is affiliated, well, not affiliated, but are investors in Peak. Shout out to the guys at StockFam. I know a lot of them are in the chat. JJ did, I got to say, an awesome interview with them recently. There's so many little gems in there. It was like kind of Sean was predicting his next move. But yes, I found this through mainly just people recommending it to me. And I get a fair few stocks. This one's really stood out to me because they started talking about the amount of revenue growth it was receiving, the net profits it could be having in the future. 56%, operating margins. From what JJ has said previously in other interviews before the quiet period happened, where couldn't really do any interviews or talk about the stock that much. But yeah, ever since I really heard about the stock, I've just been constantly doing due diligence, constantly adding to my position. I absolutely love what JJ and the team over at Peak are doing.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for hopping on to ask a few questions. And yeah, the due diligence is so impressive at a very young age to know so much about the company. So we appreciate your wisdom on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for bringing me on, and hopefully one day I can interview in a few weeks, JJ.
Absolutely. I'd be honored. Very nice meeting you, young investor.
Very nice meeting you too.
Yeah, sorry about that, young investor. We'll get you back on. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Joseph, for joining the show today. Let me know if there's anything else you want to leave our investors with before heading out this afternoon.
No, listen, I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to connect with a new audience here. We're expecting to have a lot of fun. Should be on NASDAQ before the end of, for the US audience out there, should be on NASDAQ before the end of August. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks again.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy Thursday for joining us. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that, seeing the uplist to NASDAQ. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this, keep it on the watch list. And we'd love to get you back on the show when we get more news, anytime you have anything to share.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you.
Awesome. No problem. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.